The Book of Exodus, chapter 27. You shall make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be square, and its height shall be 3 cubits. And you shall make horns for it on its 4 corners. Its horns shall be of one piece with it, and you shall overlay it with bronze. You shall make pots for it to receive its ashes, and shovels and basins and forks and firepans. You shall make all its utensils of bronze. You shall also make for it a grating, a network of bronze, and on the net you shall make 4 bronze rings at its 4 corners. And you shall set it under the ledge of the altar, so that the net extends halfway down the altar. And you shall make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with bronze. And the poles shall be put through the rings, so that the poles are on the 2 sides of the altar when it is carried. You shall make it hollow with boards. As it has been shown you on the mountain, so shall it be made. You shall make the court of the tabernacle. On the south side, the court shall have hangings of fine twined linen, 100 cubits long for one side. Its 20 pillars and their 20 bases shall be of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise for its length on the north side, there shall be hangings 100 cubits long, its pillars 20 and their bases 20 of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side, there shall be hangings for 50 cubits, with 10 pillars and 10 bases. The breadth of the court on the front to the east shall be 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, with their 3 pillars and 3 bases. On the other side the hangings shall be 15 cubits, with their 3 pillars and 3 bases. For the gate of the court there shall be a screen 20 cubits long, of blue and purple and scarlet yarns and fine twined linen, embroidered with needlework. It shall have 4 pillars, and with them 4 bases. All the pillars around the court shall be filleted with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their bases of bronze. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, the breadth 50, and the height 5 cubits, with hangings of fine twined linen and bases of bronze. All the utensils of the tabernacle for every use, and all its pegs and all the pegs of the court shall be of bronze. You shall command the people of Israel that they bring to you pure beaten olive oil for the light, that a lamp may regularly be set up to burn. In the tent of meeting, outside the veil that is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall tend it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute forever, to be observed throughout their generations by the people of Israel.
We've all heard Exodus 27 read, and so at least once, whoever's listening to this video, I know you've heard Exodus 27 read at least once. We're doing our study in Exodus, and we're going to go all the way to the end. And today we're going to take a look at Exodus. And this is my notes. You can see them on the screen. And sometimes I get them all mixed up, and I'm not in order. But just overlook that. Like I said, I'm not a what you call a professional teacher. I'm not a preacher, and I just do my own Bible study, and I use the Bible. And, like everybody else, I use the internet, I use AI, I use some books, but barely. I barely use, and barely and rarely use outside sources because, I will use them for myself, but I've learned you go wading into the scholarship and you'll wade yourself out of belief. I've seen people educate themselves plumb out of belief. And, I'm just going to take the Bible as best I can for myself and share that, what helps me, what I learn, I'll share it. And if I'm wrong, people can point it out and say, hey, you're wrong on this, but they better use the Bible to prove that I'm wrong. And at the end of each lesson of each chapter, I would tell Judy, my mother-in-law, I would tell her, well, she wanted to keep my notes, and she did. She saved all my notes, and of course I've got them now. But she saved them all, and I'd tell her, well, I don't know that anything in there will hold up in court, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But she was really enjoying this class. But anyway, I'm going to get into it. Exodus 27 describes the three major elements of Israel's worship space: the altar, the courtyard of the tabernacle, and the perpetual lamp, the lamp that was constantly burning. Pardon me, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Each of these became a symbol fulfilled in Christ. We can see it. When we go to looking, we can see it. Chapter 26 has a lot of the same things that I have here for 27, but 26, 27, as you know, they describing the tabernacle and the courtyard and all of that. And the bronze altar, what was it? It was a large square altar made of acacia wood overlaid with bronze, used for burnt offerings and the place where sacrifice happened. A symbolic meaning in Israel, the altar was the first object you encountered when entering the courtyard. It represented atonement, and it was a substitution and bloodshed for sin. And the New Testament correlations, and this is the part I like to point out, we can see the correlations. Christ as the final sacrifice on that altar, and that altar being the cross. But Hebrews 9:11 through 12, it says, but Christ came as high priest of the good things to come, with the greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation. Not with the blood of bulls, of goats and calves, but with his own blood he entered the most holy place once for all, having obtained eternal redemption. And Hebrews 10, verse 10, he says, his sacrifice is once for all. And here's the quote, by that will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. Christ did it once. There is no daily sacrifice in the courtyard and the high priest. We don't have earthly priests making sacrifices for us and going into the most holy. Christ done all that for us once, and we don't have to worry about animal sacrificed anymore. And the altar as the cross, as I pointed out, the altar, we could see the cross as the altar. Ephesians 5:2, and it says, and we walk in love as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma. And that's what God would call it in the Old Testament when they'd make sacrifice, if it was worthy. It was a sweet smelling aroma. In Hebrews 13, 10 through 14, the writer uses altar imagery describing Christ's suffering outside the camp. We have an altar from which those who serve the tabernacle have no right to eat. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned outside the camp. Therefore, Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered outside the gate. Therefore, let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek the one to come, which is that city. The one to come is heavenly Jerusalem, the mother of us all, as Paul called it. We don't go to that tabernacle in Jerusalem. There's no temple there. We are the temple. That comes later. We'll have more teaching on that and as we go in Exodus. But y'all know, most of y'all know that already, and we will get into all of that. But for now, we're in chapter 27, and we're pointing, the tabernacle, the altar, the courtyard, and all that is represented in the New Testament, and Hebrews goes over a lot of it. And so far in chapter 27, you can see what I'm pointing to, that Christ is the fulfillment of those shadows, and believers as living sacrifices. We ourselves are the sacrifice too, if we are living as we're supposed to. We present ourselves as living sacrifices, echoing the altar imagery. A bronze altar foreshadows the cross, where the true and final atonement is made. And that's what I'm telling you. Some of my notes are kind of mixed together. I should have said that earlier, but I've got my notes laid out, and I'm sticking to them. Like I told my mother-in-law, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If they are a little out of order, it doesn't matter. I think y'all can see what I'm talking about, because I am using the scriptures. The courtyard, what it was a large fenced area surrounding the tabernacle, made of linen curtains hung on bronze posts. Only priests and worshipers bringing sacrifices could enter. That's all taught us. And, some of the things that I'm pointing out to here may not be in chapter 27, but we will get to them too. And some of them have already come. But, in Leviticus, we go, and, I may just keep going and do Leviticus while I'm at it, and we'll go through the feasts and all that and the rules and regulations. But the courtyard, its symbolic meaning in Israel, the courtyard marked the boundary between the common and the holy. It was a place of access, but limited access. That access now, we have a new and better covenant. We don't have to worry about violating the boundaries, because we don't have any. Christ opens access to God. This is the New Testament correlations. Hebrews 10, 19 through 22, we now enter the holy places through Christ's blood. Through Christ's blood. Let me go to that right quick. It won't take but a second. Hebrews 10. Well, here I got Hebrews. No, I don't. Hey, bear with me just a little bit. Therefore, brethren, 19 through 22. Therefore, brethren, having boldness to enter the holiest by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way, which he consecrated for us, through the veil, that is, his flesh. And having a high priest over the house of God, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. That's baptism, what that is, that water. A lot of people argue, no, that's not baptism. Well, yeah, it is. And Ephesians 2:18, through Christ we have access by one Spirit to the Father. Christ is the one that gave us access. You remember? Well, I'll get to it here in a minute. But we have access to the Father through Christ. the church as God's new temple. 1 Corinthians 3:16. The church is God's dwelling place. And I read that in the last chapter. And we, in 1 Peter 2:5, we are a holy priesthood, a royal nation, he calls it. 1 Peter 2, verse 5. Go read 1 Peter chapter 2. You'll see what I'm talking about. Well, I'm not going to go there. I won't read it. But, it says Christ's blood was the veil, represented the veil. In the tearing of the veil, Matthew 27:51, the veil is torn, symbolizing the end of the restricted access. Christ gave us that access. Matthew 27, let's go there and read that. Whoop. I got to spell it right. Matthew 27, what verse? What verse is 51? I get confused here. Bear with me. Okay. When Jesus was on the cross, beginning at verse 50, he was on the cross and he cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. Then behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth quaked and the rocks were split. And notice that how the temple was torn from top to bottom, not from the bottom up. God allows the access. Jesus provided the sacrifice for that access, and it was from top to bottom, not the other way around. And that Christ's flesh being torn represents that Christ offering his flesh, the veil being torn from top to bottom represents his flesh. It's what the Hebrew writer told us. And the key New Testament themes, the courtyard's boundaries, highlights a new access believers have through Christ. No more fences, no more restricted zones. And now we get to the perpetual lamp. What it was, pure olive oil was to be supplied continually, so the lamp inside the holy place would burn night and day. Aaron and his sons were responsible for maintaining it. The symbolic meaning in Israel, the lamp symbolized God's continual presence and Israel's continual worship. And then those New Testament correlations. John 8:12, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. The Jews had their perpetual lamp, and it was the light of their world. Now, Jesus said, I am the light of the world, the true light that enlightens everyone, not just Israel. Well, I think we all know that, but that's really important. Jesus gave us all access to the Father with his sacrifice. John 1, 4 through 9. Let's read that. Just bear with me. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. He was not the light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was John the Baptist talking about Jesus. He was bearing witness of Jesus being the light, the perpetual light. It's no longer in a temple in Jerusalem. Jesus is the perpetual light. And then, in Ephesians, Jesus was given, we are reminded how he had all authority, And he went back to the Father, sat on his throne, gave the authority to the church. In Matthew 5:14 through 16, Jesus tells his followers, you are the light of the world. And Philippians 2:15, we are told to shine as lights in the world. We have this gospel, the gospel, not this gospel. We have the gospel. That is the light. The word became flesh, and now and dwelt among us. We have the word. His word will never pass away. And the gospel of Christ is the light of the world now. Until he returns, the church is the light because it has the word and it spreads the word. And we don't twist the word to make it mean everything is 80-70 or everything is Ezekiel 38-39, war in the Middle East. Those are two extremes of the spectrum of false doctrines. The hyper-preterist, full preterist claims the light shined till 80-70 and claimed that was judgment and resurrection. And then, these Pentecostals or whatever claim the newspaper headlines will tell us when the end is the nearest. And, stick with the scriptures. And I promise you will not be fooled by either of the extremes. Just stay with the scriptures. Don't believe everything you hear. And you check everything I say, but I'm reading from the scriptures. Zechariah 4 interpreted in New Testament themes, the lamp burns not by might, but by my spirit. Talking about God's. It burns, we don't have to have oil. We don't have to have a lampstand. It's, do we shine as lights by our lives, living by the word? And the lampstands represent churches. We can say that in Revelation 1:12 through 20. The churches filled with Christ's presence, supposed to. Some of them in Revelation were going to be rebuked. But the thing is, that's what churches are for. They're lampstands to shine the light of the members who are supposed to be shining their light, not putting it in a basket or not putting it out, shining through your life that fits the word. The perpetual lamp points to Christ's abiding presence and the Spirit-enabled witness of the church. Exodus 27 is the perfect example of how physical worship structures become spiritual realities. The altar is the cross. The courtyard was access to God. The lamp is Christ's presence and the Spirit's work. And he says in John 8:12, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. If we walk with Christ, we are following the light. He is the light. And if we are following him, we have light. And he calls it the light of life. We will never die. We will be, our bodies will decay, but we won't. Who we are, we will never die if we belong to him. And like I said, he told us, in Matthew 5, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And Ephesians 5, verse 8, for you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. We were the Gentiles especially, we had no hope. we were in complete darkness. But now we are the light. We are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, or as children of the Lord. In 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 5, you are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of the darkness. And then I think I got a repeat of that's what I'm scrolling. This is the end of what I had for tonight on chapter 27. I'm working on further notes, but that's all I had for tonight. And, as I said, I had them kind of messed up, but we can see let me get back up here to those three physical things of the place of worship: the altar, the courtyard of the tabernacle, and the lamp, the lamp that never goes out. That is Christ, the cross, and the church, the perpetual lamp, or it's supposed to be. It will never go out. And that's the way He intended it. And all of those things in Exodus 27 and all through 28, 26, all the things in the Old Testament were shadows of what was coming in the New. And I guess that's all I have for tonight. And it seemed like I had something on my mind. I forgot what it was. I wanted to tell y'all, and I forgot what it was. But I'm going to keep doing these videos if He allows it. And I appreciate y'all listening. I hope y'all getting some good out of it. I know I am, and sorry about my squeaky chair, but it is what it is. Well, thank you for listening. I thank you for listening, and I'll see y'all next time.